It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hello, what's happening, everybody? How we doing? I hope you had a great Martin Luther King Jr. holiday weekend. My name is Geno Jones. That's me. It's time for the Geno Jones Daily Variety Show. Yesterday, we, in honor of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, we took the day off to pay just to show reverence and pay respect and reflect on where we have come since Dr. King was assassinated back in 1968. So we're talking about 53 years ago. Wow. Time really flies. So let's cut right to the chase. We have 18 hours. 18 hours until our national nightmare. The clear and present danger. Public enemy number one. The mad wannabe king leaves the White House. You don't have to go home. Personally, I don't give a damn where you go. But you are out of here. Out of here. Today, President-elect Joe Biden, along with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, basically paid tribute. Not basically, they actually did. Paid tribute. Had a memorial service for the 400,000 plus Americans that have died from COVID-19. January 21st, 2020 was the first official recorded case of COVID-19 here in America. 363 days later, over 400,000 of our fellow Americans, our grandmothers, our grandfathers, our mothers, our fathers, our uncles, our aunts, our sisters, our brothers, our spouses, our husbands and wives, and lifelong partners, domestic partners, our former classmates, our current classmates, our co-workers, our church members, our club members, our fraternity and sorority brothers and sisters, our Masonic brothers and sisters and brothers and sisters that are Eastern Stars, doctors who gave their life trying to save the lives of patients they treated for COVID-19, nurses that contracted COVID-19, that came down with the coronavirus, that unfortunately and tragically died from a disease, from a virus that they were trying to protect and treat and save the lives of their own patients. And then some of them came down with COVID-19 and died. There are 400,000 plus families that's got a hole in their soul. They feel like someone took a chisel and literally carved out their soul. It's like a hole. Somebody carved out their insides. Now that might sound graphic, but for those who are experiencing that level of grief and loss, there's anger, there's depression, there's sadness. And it did not have to be this way. In the most advanced nation, the richest nation in the history of the planet, the greatest medical universities on the planet, the greatest doctors, researchers, virologists, epidemiologists, you name it, all here in America. And none of that could save the lives of over 400,000 Americans. Wow. Lives are just nation is forever changed in 2021 with all the technology, the science. We couldn't save those. We couldn't save those people. We couldn't spare those families this unspeakable grief. Not to mention that the national debt is over $3 trillion with a T, $3 trillion. Now the dark dude 4 years ago, before the orange dude came, the black guy, President Barack Obama, he had got the debt down to actually about $500 million. And now it's $3 trillion. And some people talk about, well, look at the stock market. And it was around 20,000 and now it's near 30,000. But who has that benefited? It's only benefited the wealthy, the billionaires, and your companies. You got tens of millions of Americans out of work now. Tens of millions of Americans out of work. You got tens of millions of Americans facing eviction, hunger, and hundreds of millions of Americans facing hate based on this made up idea of race, this made up construct. It's a made up con game. I have said this, I've been saying this on past episodes. This whole concept and construct of race was created in Europe in the late 1600s, primarily by the English, really to discriminate initially against the Irish. And then it was to discriminate against Africans and people of color that was imported to America, where a very small handful of people who were in control of the wealth, the political power, the economic power, and basically any type of power in terms of controlling. At the time, they didn't use the term the media. You didn't have television. You had newspapers. There was just a handful of people that controlled every form of power that affected every person's daily life. These people wanted to maintain control of the power, the political power, and to generate wealth. They didn't want to share it with the masses. So they had to come up with a con to make one group of people think that the other group of people was the problem, that they could never become wealthy white male landowners, like it said in the Constitution. And that's what the concept of race is all about. It's made up. If you go and get a DNA test, when the test comes back, it won't tell you your race. It will speak to your ethnicity. It will speak to whether you are from Scotland or from Ireland, or you have Italian, German, Middle Eastern descent, or you have from an African nation. It could be Ghana, it could be Nigeria, it could be Cameroon, it could be Egypt. It could be one of many African countries on the continent or many countries on the continent of Africa. But it won't come back as black or white. Maybe Asian, Southeast Asian, or from India. But it won't come back as black or white. That was made up. And now you have tens of millions of people who have been brainwashed by this con and this hate. It's called white nationalism. Some use the term white supremacy, but there's nothing supreme about this ignorance, this form of hate that encompasses just overall racism, a hate for black people, a hate for Jewish people, which many people use the term anti-Semitism, which is all encompassed under the umbrella of white nationalism against Mexicans and those from Latin America, Muslims, women, because misogyny and sexism is directly attached to white nationalism. This twisted, demented, remixed, poisonous version of what they call Christianity, their version, this remixed version. Yeah, it's a remixed version. You know, Christianity was actually practiced in Africa before Africans came to America. Now, different form. It's not your white evangelical Southern Christian Baptist form of Christianity that also houses this ideology of white nationalism, which is directly connected to their form. They see themselves as Christians. The Ku Klux Klan called themselves Christians. These white nationalists that stormed and invaded the U.S. Capitol, stood in the Senate chambers and said a prayer and called themselves Christians, even though they went there looking to hang, as they chanted, hang Mike Pence, the current vice president, for another 18 hours. Hang Mike Pence, and build a gallows, wooden gallows, with a noose, with a hangman's noose in the middle of it. They were looking to kidnap and kill the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. They were looking to kill as many Democratic lawmakers as they can find. This is not my opinion. These are facts that have been revealed in over 100 arrests of these white nationalists, and QAnon, which is some crazy, beyond totally lunatic ideology that somehow these elite liberals and Democrats are some secret pedophiles that want to kidnap and then cannibalize. So they're pedophiles and they're cannibals, according to these crazy QAnon conspiracy theorists. So the virus of hate and white nationalism, we are suffering from the virus of COVID-19 that has killed over 400,000 Americans, of our fellow Americans, men, women, children. We continue to suffer from the virus of white nationalism, an extreme virulent virus rooted in hate, fear, and ignorance, and insecurity, afraid to compete on a level playing field that benefits from the privilege of whiteness here in America that has been bestowed upon those who are white. Where are we going from here, ladies and gentlemen? The man, the person, and I use that term very loosely, the person that's about to get his ass out of here of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in about 18 hours, maybe a little less than 18 hours, actually. A little more than 18 hours. Right around it. Let's just say around 18 hours from right now. He did not invent white nationalism. He is the embodiment. He's the poster child. He's the face. He tapped into it. It is clear that it is a major part of who he is. It courses through his veins and through his mind. It courses through his veins like the blood in his body. It is clear that he has lived his life under this concept that he was superior because of his whiteness and because of his daddy's wealth that he inherited and squandered many times over. In spite of his ignorance and his insecurity, which is at the root of narcissism, and his fear and his cowardice and his sexism and misogyny, openly bragging about sexually assaulting women and bragging that he can get away with it because when you're a celebrity, they'll let you do it. He didn't invent white nationalism. He just energized it. He gave white nationalists the permission to just come out in the open, wave the Confederate flag. The Confederate flag was carried through our nation's capital. Even in 1814, the last time our U.S. Capitol was stormed, it was by the British Army in 1814. Even at the height of the Civil War, that Confederate flag was never carried inside of our nation's capital, even by the Confederate Army. And actually, that flag is actually not the Confederate battle flag that was flown under the Civil War. This version of the Confederate battle flag was really created and displayed in the 1900s, not the 1800s, which is a whole nother conversation. So what I'm saying is the person who's about to get his ass out of here, out of the White House, he did not invent racism. He did not invent white nationalism and all of its subforms of hate and anti-Muslim hate and anti-religious bigotry and anti-Semitism and just flat out anti-black racism, anti-immigrant hate. He didn't invent it. It was already here. But he just took the leadership position. He became the captain of the team to where he could just give all the white nationalists, he was like their cheerleader. Hey, it's cool. It's okay to hate. I'm the hater in chief. I'm the white nationalist in chief. So when your white nationalists went to Charlottesville, Virginia, almost 4 years ago, and a woman named Heather Heyer was murdered by a white nationalist who was run over by a car, and they almost killed several other people. The white nationalists in chief said they were fine people on both sides. Really? There were fine people who were white nationalists who went down with the goal to kill and actually did kill someone? And then we had January 6th, where the white nationalist in chief stood up, gave a speech along with one of his sons, Donnie Dumbass Jr., the former mayor of New York City, Rudy Giuliani, and other lawmakers, and said, we've got to go to the White House and we've got to stand up these Republicans and give them a spine and backbone. And you've got to use force. And you'll never get your country back. You gotta use force. You gotta fight. And I'm gonna march with you. But his punk ass, coward ass didn't. But he said he was. I'm gonna go with you. And we're gonna march down to the Capitol. And we're gonna take our country back and we're gonna fight. And we're gonna make these Republicans stand up and have some spine and backbone. How did that turn out? something that hadn't happened since 1814 here in our country. Yes, that's right. 207 years was the last time the United States Capitol was basically stormed, invaded, attacked, literally attacked, stormed it, just broke in. And that was by the British Army. So in 18 hours, our national nightmare is going to be over, the clear and present danger. Like I said, public enemy number one, the mad wannabe king, is out of here. But where do we put the hate, the white nationalism? Oh, it won't leave with him. It'll still be here because it was here before he even took office. It was here when he was using the same ideology and fear and hate of white nationalism when he kept saying that Barack Obama was from America. He's a Kenyan, and he just snuck in somehow, and his mom, his white mother, who was from Kansas, somehow lied and got some false birth certificate because she knew in the early 1960s that she was going to have a baby by an African man from the continent of Africa, and she was going to name that son Barack Hussein Obama. And she gave her son that name in the early 60s because she knew he was going to grow up to be the president of the United States. That this was all a con. He's not an American. Oh, don't pay attention to, high school yearbook, playing basketball in Hawaii when he was in high school, or, Columbia University and Harvard Law. It's all a con. It's a ruse. So January 6th, you had tens of thousands of white nationalists that stormed the Capitol based on a big lie, in part, that somehow President-elect President Joe Biden did not win fair and square, that it was cheating. And it was those cities with a lot of black folks. That's why we need a recount. We need to look, because there was voter fraud in Philadelphia and in Detroit and in Milwaukee and in Atlanta and in Phoenix and in Las Vegas. What do all those cities have in common? They have a lot of people of color. A lot of African Americans, of course, in Milwaukee, especially in Detroit and in Philly, and definitely in Atlanta, and a lot of Hispanic Americans in Phoenix and Las Vegas. The dude leaving the White House in 18 hours, he did not invent hate, fear, and racism. He didn't invent it. He didn't cause it. He's a symptom. He's not the cause. This form of hate, this white nationalism, is older than America. It got here in 1619. It was here in 1619 when roughly 20 plus Africans first brought to the shores of Virginia, near a town called Jamestown, Virginia, in August of 1619. That's when racism and white nationalism got here. Almost 150 years before, over 150 years before America officially became America in 1776. So it's been here for a long time. So where's it going? I don't know. To my white brothers and sisters, I can't answer that question. You have to answer that question. Racism, white nationalism is not a problem that black people Hispanic people, Jewish people, Muslims did not create that problem. We're not responsible for that problem. That is a problem that white America collectively created. I always say I'm an advocate against domestic violence. And I say domestic violence, it's not a woman's problem. Domestic violence is a man's problem. And men, we can end domestic violence. Because we, collectively as men, created the problem of violence against women. So I will issue a challenge to my white brothers and sisters that black people, people of color, Jewish people cannot end white nationalism, anti-Semitism, anti-immigrant hate, anti-religious bigotry, anti-Muslim hate. You can end it. Now, I know hate is big business. It's made trillions of dollars plus over the years. But on January 6th, something scary happened for a lot of people. But you know what? It was sad, but it wasn't as scary for many black folks like me. You know why? Because we have seen that form of hate for 402 years. We have been telling you about that hate for 402 years. We have been telling you, even the FBI has told you, that that form of hate in terms of white nationalism had infiltrated the military, local, county, state, federal law enforcement. And for years, too many white Americans didn't believe it, were in denial, didn't listen, or didn't care because it didn't affect them. But on January 6th, America, white Americans, saw the virulent, sadistic, demonic hate that black people have been seeing for 402 years. And that's why I said last week on that day, or 2 weeks ago, on that day, January 6th, the chickens came home to roost. That meant that those chickens that went out into the world with the hate, the evil, the murder, the rape, that everything that encompassed white nationalism, that caused millions, uncounted, untold numbers of black people that have died, that have been hung from trees and drugged behind pickup trucks and shot in cold blood on their property, on their front lawns, in front of their families. The rape, the sadistic behavior that black people have seen in this country for 402 years. White America saw that same hate, but the only difference was that hate was coming for you. The movie Bad Boys, the theme song, the hook, bad boys, bad boys. What you gonna do when they come for you? Now, America, to my white brothers and sisters, this poison of white nationalism on January 6th, they came for you like they've been coming for us, for me, and my Hispanic brothers and sisters, and my Jewish brothers and sisters, and my Muslim brothers and sisters, and women. Like I've always said, we have more in common than we do apart. But you have to lead the way. Because these people who stormed the U.S. Capitol, these white nationalists, were police officers, retired, and in some cases, active military, National Guard, doctors, lawyers, teachers, people who worked in real estate agents, your neighbors, your doctors, your dentists, your contractors, your construction workers, the police officers that come to your home when you're having a problem in your neighborhood, your EMT workers, your paramedics, your firefighters that you see that come to the neighborhood when there's a fire. They were all a part of that. So we got to choose, America. Tomorrow marks the beginning of a new day. It's the first day of the rest of our lives. What are you going to do? To my white brothers and sisters. What are you going to do? Because it affects you now. And Dr. King, I'm going to paraphrase something that Dr. King said and basically interpreted it. He said, as bad as those are who are openly racist and engage in acts of racism, equally as bad are those who sit by in silence and see it and know what they see and don't speak out against it or say something and do something to end that hate and that racism and white nationalism. We as black people, we can't stop that, but you can. Because now it's not a black problem. It's an American problem. First it came for me, now it came for you. So now that means they're coming for all of us as Americans. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. God bless each and every one of you guys. Most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Show. I would love to have you, if you'd like to be a sponsor on the Geno Jones Daily Variety Show, I would be honored. I would love to have you as a sponsor, okay? Or if you want to advertise, just send me an email, genojonesshow@gmail.com, genojonesshow@gmail.com. That's how you spell Geno with a G-E, Geno Jones Show, all one word, @gmail. Leave me a message right here on my YouTube channel. Shout out to my man, Markel Bailey. Yeah, see, it was a bad hair day. Last week I was rocking my skull cap. KLB Cutting on Instagram, KELBECUTTIN. Also shout out to my man in Chicago, Bruce Gage, always keeping got the gear right. Check out his fashions. You know, if you just want to look good, the latest, not just the latest, he's always like a season or two ahead. So if you really want to see what's really coming next in terms of style and fashion, especially for men, Bruce Gage, G-A-G-E, Bruce Gage. Check him out on Instagram. You can find him, Bruce Gage, on Instagram. All right. I love you, mother. How you doing? I want to thank everybody. I love all you guys. Thank you for watching. Tomorrow will be the inauguration of our 46th president, Joseph R. Biden. I believe the R stands for Robinette. Joseph Robinette Biden, 46th president. And our very first female and very first African American, also Asian American, her mom is from India, Vice President Kamala Harris. Congratulations, Vice President. Had a chance to meet the Vice President on more than a few occasions during the primary. Got a chance to actually sit down and have a conversation, interview style conversation. She came here, the state of South Carolina, here in Charleston, South Carolina. And what you see with the vice president is what you get. Just very genuine, authentic person. No nonsense. Outgoing personality, charismatic, but very serious when it comes to doing her job. So, and you made history. My 2 daughters now can see that, wow, I could do that one day. So all of our daughters and nieces and grandchildren, granddaughters and sisters can look at Vice President Kamala Harris and realize that they too can aspire for the highest office. See it, you can be it. So thank you, Vice President Harris, for that. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. Binge watch, catch up with all my past episodes. Please like, share, and subscribe. I still have a goal of 10,000 new subscribers, so please spread the word. Share all this episode, share all my past episodes. Help a brother out, okay? And once again, I would love for you to be a sponsor on the Geno Jones Daily Variety Show. So reach out to me right here, okay? Or advertise on the show. Geno Jones Show. All one word, Geno Jones Show on Gmail. Or leave me a message on my YouTube channel. All right, Wednesday, it's a brand new day. It'll be a brand new day in America. A new day. But unfortunately, we'll still have over 400,000 Americans, even more, that would have died from the coronavirus. Millions of Americans facing eviction, hunger, and hate. Got a lot of work to do. President-elect Joe Biden, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, I lift you up in prayer because you're going to need it. We all need it. Not that we're going to need it. We all need it for those who believe in the power of prayer and peace. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow, Wednesday, Inauguration Day.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.